Welcome to the Fundamentals of Project Management. This is the first in a series of lecture slides that you will view throughout the course. These are designed to highlight and summarize important elements of other course material. Let's begin. First, we'll start with a project. All projects will have some results. To get there, we have task and technical issues to deal with. There are tasks in the project, there are technical issues meaning any sort of subject matter expertise in issues, not just IT issues. So tasks in the project, we have to do those to get the results we want. To get those tasks accomplished, we have to work with other people. So there's some human dynamics issues. One major group we will work with is our project team. You and the project team will actually do the project. Other people we have to deal with are all the organizational people. There are people and groups surrounding this project, customers, stakeholders, all sorts of people and groups surrounding this project, and the project manager has to deal with all of these people successfully to get the results from the project. Let's talk about some foundations. First, there are 5 process areas or 5 process groups that PMI outlines. The initiating process, the planning process, the executing process, the monitoring and controlling process, and the closing process. Then there are 9 knowledge areas. Now, the 9 knowledge areas, integration is the first one, but that's actually the one we'll talk about last. Let's talk about the other 8 first. There's scope, time, cost, and quality. You must manage all of those throughout the project, as well as all of the people issues, the human resources, manage communications throughout the project, manage risks, and manage procurements. Now, back to integration. Integration simply says that you cannot work on any of these areas. You can't change or influence one of these areas without having some effect on at least one of the other 9 areas. If you think of the 5 process areas as the roadmap to get from the beginning to the end of the project, and the 9 knowledge areas as your toolkit, that'll help keep these straightened out in your head. 3 definitions we're going to talk about. What is a project? We're going to talk about the SQCT targets of a project. What is project manager? And what is project management? What is a project? Project is a temporary one-time coordinated undertaking that has a few defining elements. Basically, a project starts and stops. We put a temporary group of people together, a temporary team that will do this project. At the end of this project, that team will be disbanded. They may go on to another project. Parts of this team may go on to another project. This project is over, finished, done. And these things do create something unique. Every project is unique in some way or another. Even though you may have done a similar project, this project is unique. It's different than other projects you've done. And projects operate under some kind of constraints, at least time, quality, and cost constraints, as well as management of the scope of the project. Ongoing work in an organization. We're not going to talk about ongoing work. Ongoing work in the organization is the everyday repeated processes, the repetitive processes that happen over and over and over again. These processes may happen several times in a day, several times in an hour, several times in a month. They may happen once every few months, but they are repeated. This is the ongoing work of the organization, and there are process improvement tools and techniques to work with this. One you may have heard of is Six Sigma. It's a tool to work on, a process to work on, a whole discipline to work on ongoing work efforts. What we are going to talk about are projects, the one-time special efforts that pop up. These are outside the normal realm of the operational work of the organization. These are the one-time special events that we need to take care of. These are the things we will talk about, and we'll talk about the tools, the techniques, the methods, the process for managing projects. We will talk about scope, quality, cost, and time. These are the 4 elements that we will work with, that we will balance, that we will coordinate from the beginning to the end of the project. These things we are constantly working with throughout the project, from beginning to end, always. Look at the relationships here. First, we will start with the product scope. What is this thing? What does this project look like? What does done look like is what we will start with. Then we will say, well, how good does that have to be? So we're going to talk about, well, this is what the project looks like when it's done, and this is how good it has to be. Now, to do that, it will cost this much money and take this amount of time. These 4 elements at the beginning need to be laid out so that they obey the laws of the physical universe. These need to be laid out so that we actually can accomplish this scope at this quality level within this budget and get it done and delivered in the time frame that is laid out. Sometimes these are laid out before a project manager's name is ever put on a project, and the project is set up for failure before the project manager's name has ever been put on it. These must be realistic. So the project manager, the project sponsor, the customer all have to agree that yes, we really think we can do this project at this quality level for this amount of money and get it done in this amount of time. Once those things are all laid out, everybody agrees to that, away we go with the project. There's an interesting thing about this. Once we agree that all four of these things work just fine, if any one of these changes, at least one other one will also have to change. Sometimes two of the other elements, and sometimes all three of the other elements. A project. Here's the PMI definition for that out of the PMBOK: a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. What is project management? It's planning, scheduling, managing, coordinating, leading, communicating, controlling, and a number of other things. In the 17th century, we're already hearing a little bit about what modern project management looks like. Blaise Pascal was talking about this, 1651. What we're talking about really is modern project management starts in 1917 and moves forward. So we're talking about project management as it starts 1917 when Henry Gantt draws his first chart, up until today when project management is an evolving, growing, developing profession. The field is constantly improving. We're learning new tools, techniques, methods all the time. Project management, application of skills, tools, and techniques. This comes out again of the PMBOK. What is project manager? Project manager has three skill bases. First, they have to have some sort of expert knowledge, expertise, some subject matter expertise about the project that we're doing. The project manager is not the expert on every element of the project. If a project manager knows everything about everything on the project, they're the expert on everything, they must ask themselves a couple of things. First, do we even need a team? And also, I'm probably managing far too small a project. If you're the expert on everything on the project, you are managing far too small a project. The idea is to get the right group of people sitting around that table with you, and collectively all of the subject matter expertise, all the technical skills to do that project, all the technical skills, all the subject matter expertise are housed within that team. Also, the project manager has to have project management skills. What does it look like to get from the beginning to the end of a project? What's the process to do that? What are the tools? What are the 5 knowledge areas, or 5 process areas, and what are the 9 knowledge groups? Leadership skills. To effectively do a project manager has to have the leadership skills to work with the team and with all of the other stakeholders. Various roles of the project manager: task and human. You have to deal with task and human issues along the way. Integrator versus technical expert. You integrate the expertise of that project team that you have. You're looking at big picture and detail constantly, managing all the stakeholders, and you're looking at projects and how they fit in with functions in the organization. You're going to be using people from other parts of the organization, a cross-functional team most of the time, to put your project together, put your project team together and to do the project. So how do you coordinate your project with the ongoing work that people are already assigned to in the organization? Project manager, the person assigned to perform the project.